Hello everyone, Milky Way Matthew here. This is day 12 of the Peter Monn vlog challenge. I've been doing this for a dozen days, and that means that there's only 2 days left after this of the Peter Monn vlog challenge. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, isn't that wild? Thank you to everyone who has been watching these videos. Thank you so much. I know that they're long, so I appreciate the time that you're spending with me, and I appreciate your comments, and it's been fun to engage, and yeah. So, that obviously has me thinking about what is coming after the Peter Monn vlog challenge for Milky Way Matthew. I don't have an answer yet. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll let you know in 2 days. How about that? But it's been enlightening. It's been very fun. I'm sure on the last episode, on my last vlog of the Peter Monn vlog challenge, I will probably talk about what I've learned so far. And, yeah. But it's drawing to a close, so that's making me somewhat kind of emotional, actually, which I didn't really anticipate. But it's definitely been a unique experience that I will remember for a long time. And, yeah. So I'm going to take a drink of water. I encourage you to do the same. Staying hydrated. Being thankful. So I'm wearing a very crazy shirt tonight. It's bright pink and it's got a cloud on it. There's a story behind this shirt. It's handmade. Well, not the shirt. The icon here was put on with a great deal of love and care. I'm trying to think if the story is really how I would go about telling it. Basically, long story short, behind this shirt, in case you're wondering, it was in college. I was a resident assistant, and our whole team decided to make shirts. And this was the one that I made. That's the least interesting way I could have told that story, so you're welcome. So it's, let's see, today is Monday, December 14th. Is that, yeah, that's right. Monday, December 14th. It's like 9:30-ish, I think, right now. I haven't done a time check in a while. Let's see how close I am. 9:37! Woo! 2012 iPad. Am I right? So 9:37 p.m. Sitting here by the Christmas tree. I'm getting cozy with my blankie in my nice comfy chair. Get myself tucked in here. Oh, goodness. Yeah, so what did I do today? What did you do today? Let me know in the comments. How was your Monday? What was your day like? What were you up to today? Today, I slept in. As you might remember from last Monday, or if you're new, welcome. Monday is my one day where I have the whole day off of both my jobs. And so I slept in this morning, later than I anticipated, but it felt good. And which I think is part of the reason, as I yawn, that I've been sleepy all day is because I overslept. I find that when I sleep too much, I am very tired throughout the whole day. So I think I overslept, but it felt good. I got up at like, I don't know, between 8 and 8:30, but I wanted to get up earlier than that. But anyhow, had some breakfast. I talked to Michael this morning for like over an hour. We were chatting. That was fun. And then I went to the post office and I bought a bunch of stamps. Okay, I was gonna mail something and I couldn't find my stamps. I should show you my stamps. What did I do with them? Where did I put those? I have no memory of where I put those stamps, which is funny because the reason I bought stamps is because I couldn't find the stamps I already had. I need to like identify a place for me to keep stamps. That's what I'm discovering right now. Anyway, so I went to the post office and I had to mail something, so I was paying for that to be sent quickly. And then I was like, while I'm here, I'm gonna get some stamps. And I started looking, and I realized after when I was leaving the post office that I might have like a problem because I get really excited about stamps. I've always thought stamp collecting is really dumb, and I stand by that. But then I like look at the stamps and I'm like, ooh, those are cool. I want those. And I mean, what am I going to do? I'm literally going to just mail things with them. But anyway, they have the coolest T-Rex stamps. And they're like bigger than most stamps are. And they have these beautiful, what looks like paintings of T-Rex on there. But they're made so that when you move them, the picture changes. And what's funny is I had those. I had some before. I had them for like a month before I realized that they picture changed. I just thought because I noticed when I was like, I thought there was another picture, and when I moved it, I was like, oh, there it is, and that was crazy. So they're like, you know what I mean, like those you used to get them in like bookmarks and stuff, and you like move it, and then the picture changes. It's stamps like that, but they're T-Rex ones, and they're really, really cool, and they're beautiful. And I wish I had like all them. I wish I had them all as posters. That would be really cool. Yeah. So anyway, so I got 2 more books of those, and then I was like, okay, I should also get those Looney Tune ones and those Scooby Doo ones. Oh, yeah. Well. So, Moo, if you're watching this, I was gonna use the Scooby Doo ones to send you something as a surprise, but I might have just spoiled it. But oh well, maybe you're not listening to this. Who knows? Yeah. So I got a bunch of stamps, and then when I went to pay for them, I remember that stamps like cost a decent amount of money when you buy a book of stamps. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't really plan to spend that much money on stamps today. But, as long as I don't lose them, I'll be set on stamps probably for the next, 2 years. And then if postage goes up, I'm good because they're forever stamps. So I think that's how it works, right? Yeah. Because, they don't make, I think they do make, certain stamps that are worth so much money. But I don't know. I feel like our what's the point? Why are we making stamps? Why would they not actually have a literal stamp that they stamp on there? Because they already have to do that anyway, right? Don't they already do that on a bunch of stuff? So you just pay, and then they put the stamp on, and then we didn't have all the waste of postage stamps. Does that make any sense? Huh. I'll be thinking about that one for a while. Or I won't, but yeah, so got me a bunch of stamps this morning, and oh goodness. And then I spent time writing. So I wrote for closer to 5 hours today, which was really good because I did finish rewriting the last chapter of my book, my short book of essays. And so that was fun and kind of crazy and surreal. I definitely need some editorial work done and just some feedback. So that's what I'm seeking right now. But I then contacted 2 people that I know as acquaintances. I would say that's a fair way. Who have published writing, their own writing, and been involved in publishing of others. So I contacted both of them, sent both of them letters inquiring for, asking for advice basically on how to go about that whole side of things. So that'll be interesting to see if either of them reply. They're not like, I would actually be a little surprised if they don't reply, because it's not like there's no context for relationship there. We sort of, I would not be surprised if either of those people don't remember me, but I gave them like, here's where we met. So it's a small enough world that we met in that I think they will be happy to reply. So anyway, I'll be looking forward to that and see what they have to say. But then I, was just starting to look into, what the whole process of publishing, and it's crazy and it's hard, and yeah, it's like, really, it's complicated. So that'll be an interesting road, interesting process. But then I spent the last little bit, kind of starting to work on my next project. Ready to start on that. And yeah, so I already have pretty much an outline of what I want to write for that. And I already have an introduction, which this is crazy. Like, I was thinking, I had this idea for a while, so I was thinking, okay, I think that's what I want to work on next. And then I found a document that I had where I'd already started it, and I don't remember this very well because it was in January of last year. I found like a very detailed outline. I was like, oh my goodness, I put in all that work, and a pretty much fully formed introduction that I was like, oh wow, I don't remember writing this, but I know I did. I'm so far, as I kind of comb through that, I'm like, oh, this is something I can work with here. So I'm looking forward to that. So back to the fun part of writing for me, which is there not being a wrong answer. And I don't know, this is just my process. If I'm going to write something, the first time through, I can just write whatever I want, however I want, and I don't change it. Because my problem, what I discovered was that I never was able to make progress on anything that I was trying to write, other than like for school. Obviously, you have a deadline and all that, and most of the, some of you would argue as to whether or not I ever kept those. But I will say, the schooling I've done most recently, I've done well at turning things in on time. There was a time during college that was difficult for me. But actually, I've looked back on that, and I think I was actually really having a very difficult time in life that I didn't realize it at the time. So, there were good things. There were many, many good things. But I think also I did not realize maybe how much help I actually needed that I was not seeking. Yeah. So anyway, you look back and you realize things. But here I am. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So my process is just kind of, to write whatever I want. But what I've found is when I'm writing on the computer, it's so easy to get half of a sentence out, realize you don't like it, backspace, 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 start over. And that was I could not make progress on anything because I was always getting stuck, because I'm like, this doesn't work, I don't like this. I need to change this, reorder things. So what I realized is I need to think of this as, once it's there, I have to work with it and move on. So I actually started writing by hand. So my first draft of the book that I finished, I wrote entirely by hand. And then I went through and typed it all into the computer. And then I went through and chapter by chapter did rewrites and That's the part that I just finished. And yeah, but I really, really enjoyed the writing by hand because, if I will like cross something out and rewrite it if in the moment I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm trying to say. I will do that, but it does not. You don't have the ability to keep doing that over and over and over again with the same sentence like you do on the computer. So so now I'm getting to start the process of writing by hand again, and I found a great deal on some moleskins, and so I've got a moleskin journal, and I'm thinking it will probably take the project that I'm working on now will probably take me more than one, so that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to that, but I'm starting by combing through my introduction and kind of rewriting that and starting there. So that's what I was working on today. So then after writing, what did I do next? Oh, I had just a little bit of time at home. I was very, very sleepy in the afternoon. Very, very sleepy. I wanted to take a nap, but I knew that if I did, like, all I wanted to do was sleep. That was just like what sounded so nice would just be to sleep, but I knew it would not go well for me. And I'm very tired now, so I'm thankful for that, so I can crawl into bed and I'll just fall asleep so quickly, and that'll be nice. But then, after I had my sleepy time of just fighting a nap, it was time for yoga. So that was great. That was really, really good. Except this weird thing with my foot happened. So one of the things that my friend who leads me in yoga has really instilled in me is that if it's painful, you shouldn't be doing it. So I feel it's a very free place to come out of a pose if you need to. And we were in Warrior 2 today, and when we switched to the other side and got into Warrior 2 on the other side, my back foot, where you're trying to it's hard. It's kind of like a lunge. So on my left leg, my knee is bent. You're leaning towards that, but then your right leg's behind it and stretched out, and you're trying to put your weight on the outer edge of your back foot. That probably doesn't make that much sense when you're just saying it, but that back foot, my right foot, I was like, what's going on? And the arch of my foot, which I have very flat feet, the arch of my foot was like cramping or something, and it got really tight, so tight that it felt like I was standing on something round. It was really, really weird. And it wasn't like, excuse me, it wasn't like painful, but it was definitely uncomfortable and mildly painful, maybe. I didn't hop out of it right away, but between that and the next thing we were going into, I did like come up out of it, and I was like, and because then all of a sudden, my other foot started doing that as well, and I was like, what's happening to my feet? So I was like trying to stretch my feet in between some things, and I think that helped. They kind of stayed like that for a while, yeah. But it was a great practice today. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. One of the things of yoga is, I think I mentioned a little bit, is last week, is this idea of your vritti, which are the things that come into your mind that hinder you from being present. And some of those are, which I don't know much about this at all, but this is just what I've learned, that memories, imagination, and sleep are three that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's others. I know there's others, but memories, imagination, and sleep. So you don't want, when you experience those things, you want to become aware of it and then let it drift away, and then come back to your center. So I just was finding today in yoga that my mind was going to a lot of kind of conversations that are half finished with people, or people who are waiting on replies from me, and what I would say to them, or things like that. So that imagination piece of like imagining these conversations and all that. And so I just had to keep trying to bring myself back to that place, into my body, realize, which is interesting, because I remember actually this was during grad school. I remember being really, really, really overwhelmed, and I was laying in bed one night, and I was so overwhelmed, and my mind was just racing through everything I had to do tomorrow. And I remember like I was kind of having a moment. I was like really, really overwhelmed. And I remember like saying to myself, you're not in tomorrow. You're in right now. You can't do any of that stuff until tomorrow. All you can do right now is rest and let that be tomorrow, and let yourself be in the present. And that was a very, very good moment for me to have, and that's something I've returned to many times when I'm overwhelmed, especially as I'm trying to go to sleep. And when you're like overwhelmed and your mind is racing through everything you have to do and having all those conversations, just like continually reminding myself, you are not then, whether that's the past or the future, whether that's memory or imagination, you are not then, you are now. And you can't be then, you can only be now. And right now, the thing that you need to do is be kind to yourself and rest, But that's so hard, Yeah. What do you do to stay present when you're feeling overwhelmed? Is that something you've given thought to? Do you have any mantras? Yeah, that's kind of been my mantra. You are not then, you are now. So just be now. Yeah. And now, what I've learned is keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Oh, it feels so good. Just to have a nice posture. So yeah, it was a great Monday. So after yoga, my friend who led me in yoga, my friends here in my neighborhood, so we shared some soup together. She made chili, and she makes the best chili. Oh my goodness, it's so good. It's the first chili I've ever had that has garbanzo beans in it. And then I remember actually I was watching Joe Whaletail in her first vlog for the Peter Monn vlog challenge. She was making chili, vegan chili, which looked amazing. And she was like, oh, I don't think I need to put garbanzo beans in it this time. And I was like, oh, maybe that's like a thing. Maybe more people than just my friend put garbanzo beans in their chili. But it's brilliant, and it's so good, and it adds just another great texture. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, so that was delicious. And then we just sat and talked for the whole evening. And that was really, really nice. We hadn't done that in a while. Been watching a lot of stuff, so it was nice to have an evening free of screens and to just enjoy one another's company. We talked a lot about reading and expectations we have for reading, and expectations we have for ourselves when we read, and how much we read, and what the point of reading is, and other people's expectations for us. And yeah, so it was a really good conversation, and just how everyone's journey with reading is different, and that's okay. And we all learn to love reading in different ways, and we love reading in different ways, and that's okay. Yeah, so that was a good. She read me two excerpts from the book that she's reading, and one of them was really, really good and very humorous. It was using humor to make a point, and it was quite good. So that was nice, just a nice sit. And I was talking, I shared that, how I realized I really miss our time of having these reading sits, which I think I mentioned here in the vlog sometime recently. Obviously, not too long ago. But anyway, and they concurred, and so we decided next Monday we will get back into the habit of giving our Monday nights to reading. So we would have tonight if I had brought books with me, but I hadn't brought any books with me. So though I guess I could have listened to my audiobook, but that's what I would actually like to do before I go to sleep tonight is, I don't know, I have like an hour. I don't think I'll be able to stay awake that long. But a part of me is like, oh, I'd like to finish my audiobook tonight because I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. It's a very good book. Maybe I'll talk about it if I finish it before. Yeah, I'll definitely finish. Oh, will I? I don't know. Probably. I'll probably finish it before the end of the Peter Monn Vlog Challenge. Maybe I'll talk about that book. Tell you what it is. I don't think I have mentioned what it is yet. So, maybe I will tell you what it is and talk about it. Fun thing yesterday in my vlog. Okay, this is just like fun little connections between me and my friends who are also vlogging right now, and who I hope continue to vlog for many years to come. So I realized the other day that I was talking about, when I talked about all my cell phones that I had, and I talked about iPhones and how I'm partial to iPhones and why. My friend Michael Poff from Poffology also talked about iPhones that day, but we didn't know that. Isn't that weird? That's weird. And then, wait, now I'm trying to remember how this works out. And then yesterday, was that yesterday? Wait, what's today? Oh, yeah, that's right. Today's Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. And that's when I had Pizza Hut. Yeah. So yesterday, in my vlog, I was talking about Pizza Hut and how it makes me very nostalgic. And then I went down all of those rabbit trails about places from my hometown. That was so fun. A little trip down memory lane. But anyway, I said in my video that I wanted Michael to talk about nostalgia and the economy because he has interesting thoughts on that. And so this morning I was like, Michael, talk about nostalgia and the economy. And so I twisted his arm, and I think he was like, okay, I'll do it. Because I haven't watched his video yet. Confession. But I saw that his vlog for today was called the Economy of Nostalgia or something like that, which is brilliant. So I'm excited to watch that, and that's just like fun how just like, yeah, those connections. But then the other crazy thing is that my friends Chris and Kirsten in their vlog Always Us today, because they post their vlog the day after. So on Sunday, they also ordered the triple treat box from Pizza Hut the same day. Isn't that cosmic? Oh, I love that. So we both, on Sunday night, states away, unbeknownst to one another, we both ordered the triple treat box. Now they said, this is very sad, they said theirs did not come in the triple treat box. Oh, how sad. That is so sad. That's the fun part of it. But yeah, so that's funny. And in the vlog, Kirsten said, Pizza Hut makes me nostalgic. She said, I love their breadsticks, which I agree, Kirsten. And then she said that the Pizza Hut makes her nostalgic. And I was like, hello, I know. Tell me about it. It does. Does anyone else find that Pizza Hut makes them nostalgic? Wow. Let me know in the comments. Yeah. So just fun little connections to good friends. Miss them. Yeah. Back in 2019, it must have been, I went and visited them before they lived where they live now. And this was so funny. I was laughing so hard. Kirsten was having a meeting in the front of their apartment, like their living room, and Chris and I were cooking for everyone. Chris was going to grill burgers for everyone, but we went out to the back, and his grill, it had a gas grill, and it wouldn't start. And so he was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to do all of these on the George Foreman. It's going to take forever. So we bust out the George Foreman, and I don't remember why, but it was smoking really bad. So the kitchen is filling up with smoke from this George Foreman grill with these burgers. And we're trying to be quiet because they're having a meeting in the living room, which is just around the corner. But we're like cracking up, and I have a video of Chris he opened the back door, which was in the kitchen, and he put this box fan on the counter next to the George Foreman so that it would blow all the smoke out the door. And I could still see him standing there with his spatula, and he's like waving the smoke, trying to get it to dissipate. And I was just beside myself. It was hilarious because we're also trying to be so silent, and it's just, it was extreme chaos. It was hilarious. So funny. Great memory. Oh, that I forgot the truly hilarious thing of that how long was I there? I don't know. Was the spaghetti sauce. Oh my goodness. We had another time we were trying to help. There were people who had to prepare spaghetti for a large group of people, and Chris and I were charged with there was a crock pot full of ground beef. Ugh. And we were charged with draining it. Ugh. And there were no hot mitts. So we're like in this little tiny kitchen that's like at a place of employment. And there's no hot mitts. It's very limited as to what their resources are there. Like in that little kitchen. It's not like a fully stocked kitchen or anything. And there's no hot mitts. And so we're like, what? How do we do this? So Chris looks, and on top of the fridge was like two people's like thermal lunch bags. And Chris is like, why not? So he puts his hand inside of these two lunch coolers. He's got one on each hand, and that's what he used. That's what he used as hot mitts to lift that hot crock pot up and pour the beef into the thing so it could strain. And do I dare tell the rest of the story, Chris? As he's doing that, his pants started falling down, and I could not move because I was laughing so hard. Oh my goodness. And I remember standing there, and I was like, Chris, your pants. And he's holding this hot, and I think I was holding the thing he was pouring all of it into. And um, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Regardless, I can remember standing there and I'm like, Kirsten. Chris's pants are falling down, so she turned around and held up his pants while he stood there with those two lunch bags on his hands holding that thing. It was deeply, deeply hilarious to me. But that's Chris, always making everyone laugh and bringing so much joy. It's good to have good friends. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. My mind is flooding with stories of hilarious things that Chris and I have experienced together. Chris is my oldest friend. I always say we were friends from infancy because our parents are very good friends, and so we were destined to be friends. Although there was a time when we were young that we found each other annoying. And that's because Chris wanted to play video games and I just wanted to put on plays. And neither of us were interested in the things that the other person was interested in. But then, eventually, we realized we both really like scary movies. And that was fun. So we used to watch so many scary movies on Netflix. We would stay up half the night watching these amazing but just terrible scary movies. Oh, so funny. So funny. We were talking about some of those recently. How hilarious. Great times. I actually remember one time I used to go when I was able to when I got my license when I was able to drive, I would go. I went like several years in a row. I would go there for New Year's Eve to Chris's house. We live 2 hours apart. And I remember one year while I was there, we watched, what is it called? Insidious? Yeah, Insidious. Very scary movie. And I, got really, really sick. I remember I was sleeping on the floor in Chris's room, and I did not get up off that floor, I don't think, for a day and a half. I was so sick. I got so super sick. It was like the flu, and it just came on really quick. And I remember driving home while I was sick, and that was miserable. But the crazy thing was we had just watched Insidious, and then I got sick, and I remember laying on his floor for, a day and a half, and the whole time I was having nightmares about Insidious. That was one of the worst experiences. But it's a great story. I don't know if it's actually a great story, but it's a fun memory in my mind of how miserable I was. Yeah. Yeah. So we watched a lot of scary movies. Do you like scary movies? If so, what are your favorite ones? One of my amazing coworkers recommended a handful of scary movies for me to watch this past October. I had a whole list of movies I wanted to watch during October. I don't think I watched a single one of them. You know what has been interesting? I used to watch a lot of scary movies here. Oh, I'm so thirsty and my water's almost gone. Uh-oh. This is really interesting to me. I used to watch a lot of scary movies here by myself. I would turn off all the lights in my house. I live in a big house that's somewhat old. It makes a lot of noises. It has very thin walls. It's very creaky. There's no way to walk through the house silently. It's very creaky. But there was a time when I would turn off all the lights. I would watch a scary movie, and then I would go upstairs to my bedroom without turning a single light on. Wasn't bothered at all. This year, I could not do that. I think there is something about the weight of everything that was happening, and I mean, to be real, it still is happening with the pandemic and with all of the riots and the election and just like everything, how there's so much, I guess, friction. The thought of watching a scary movie, I like just couldn't do it. I could not do it. I didn't watch. I only watched. I maybe watched a couple things that were somewhat scary, but I really barely watched any scary movie. I even found just like intense dramas, which normally that's like my wheelhouse, and thrillers and stuff like that. Love. I really struggled to watch them because I just needed to experience something that wasn't bad things happening. So that was an interesting thing I noticed. I just did not have a very high tolerance for being thrust through visual narrative into more turmoil. I just couldn't do it, which is interesting to me. That made me think of something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? Oh, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Was I just saying? Noticing that I could not watch. Oh, I mentioned the riots, and I thought, oh, this would be interesting to talk about. Okay, so I live in a small town, 7,500 people, 60 miles away from Chicago, and this was really interesting. So when earlier this year there was rioting, looting, and like all crazy stuff. Actually, my friend's dad, his car got like he was in Chicago driving, and his car got like attacked by people in the streets. Like it was crazy. I know Michael, living in Indy, just saw all kinds of crazy stuff happening. But then there was riots and looting, but then there were also protests that were very peaceful, and specifically around the death of George Floyd. Right, this was motivated a lot of protests, and this was at the time when like a lot of these the lines between protest and rioting and looting were all really blurred, and at least that's how a lot of the stories were being told, But I heard that we were going to have a protest in my small town, and I remember thinking, like, if my small town that is primarily white middle class people is going to have a protest, that's how we maybe realize that like something needs to change. And I was like, is this really going to happen? Is it not? And so it got a bit, like, I guess it even got talked about in local news, and there was some sort of, well, because people were nervous to go. People were saying, like, is there, I mean, this was when, like, Chicago was, like, there was a lot of really rough looting and rioting and stuff, and people were afraid here in my small town that there was going to be looting in our town, and rioting, and this is crazy to think about, because this seems like a lifetime ago, and it really wasn't. It was just like this summer, probably late summer at that. It would have been late summer, and 2020 has been so long. I don't gotta tell you. But I was like, hey, if people are willing to get out and use their voice, I want to be a part of that. So I went, and this was a really it was a surreal experience. It was also an extremely emotional experience for me. Um, so I met up with a couple people from my work, and um, we kind of stood together. So it started off in the downtown area, and I was first of all shocked at how many people came out, and the second thing that I was instantly shocked by was how it was not just people in it wasn't just teenagers and people in their 20s. There was people of all ages. I mean all ages. And like a lot. It wasn't just one group of people. There was people of color, and obviously a lot of white people, because that's our community is made up of white people and was designed to be so, by the way, because there were laws in place about whether or not you could be here after dark if you had dark skin, which is like seems mind-blowing now, but like that's not surprising to a lot of people. But anyway, so primarily white community, because that's how we made it, but also a lot of older, like elderly people, and then like young families with kids, like little kids. And I tell you what, I'm gonna cry just thinking about this. So we just did this like 2 block. The police were there. They were aware of it. They were very kind, very respectful. The Chamber of Commerce was handing out water for everyone because it was a very hot day, sunny day, and we just walked these 2 blocks. So kind of the downtown and then along the main drag in town. These 2 blocks. So we started out just kind of in this area, and somebody that kind of helped organize it got up and gave a speech and was just talking about how this is about showing love and yet using our voice to remind the community that we will not accept this kind of brutality. We will not accept this kind of injustice, right? So then we started marching and chanting, and I like the chanting was so emotional that like there were times I could not even get the words out because I was so overwhelmed with emotion. And there was this beautiful family that was right in front of us. It was a mom and a dad, probably in their mid to upper 30s, and they had 2 little boys that were walking and a little tyke in a wagon that they were pulling. So the interesting thing that happened that day was that another group of people started to form who were there to heckle, basically, to cause trouble. And they were walking these 2 blocks, and between those 2 blocks there's an alley, and they started gathering outside of this bar that was on one corner and in the alley and at the other side. So they were kind of at the middle. As you would go around, there was a group of them standing there, and they were yelling kind of rude, mean things. And we were just marching by, and one of the things, someone was yelling, "You're terrible parents for having your kids out here and making them do this." And they were so great. They just kept walking, but they said, they turned to us and said, we before we came here, we told our kids, and there was a kid who was probably 8 and a kid who was probably 6, and then like a maybe 2 or 3-year-old in the stroller or in the wagon. And they said, the parents said, we decided that the 2 of us were going to come, and we sat our kids down and we explained to them why mom and dad were going to go and what they were going to do. And we gave them the choice of whether or not they wanted to come here today. And our 2 boys said that they wanted to go and show people that everybody needs to be treated fairly and with love. And my goodness, that was emotional. And then they said, well, of course, and then the 2-year-old just has to go wherever we go. So yeah, the 2-year-old here, against whether or not the 2-year-old wants to be here. And those two little boys, they marched and kept up with everyone, and they carried their signs, and they all had their signs were not just simple, phrases. This family was carrying signs that said, "We want to be people who know how to listen to everyone well." I mean, just like beautiful, beautiful statements. So that family, made my heart grow bigger that day. Sorry for getting emotional on the vlog for the first time. But if you're not emotional about that, I don't know, what else. So this group that was there to kind of cause trouble started getting bigger and bigger, and the police started standing between us as because we pretty much had the whole. There was enough people that it was kind of went around the whole 2 blocks, so the police started kind of standing between the one spot where they were all in this one spot, and that group started growing bigger and bigger, and so the police diverted us off of the sidewalk into the street, and eventually, I think the march was supposed to last 4 hours or something like that, and I think after maybe like an hour and a half, the leaders, the people who had organized this with and working with the police, started passing word around. On the next pass, just head back to the place where we had gathered, which is just kind of across catty corner from where that group was. And they said it is not worth there being any sort of altercation. But as we went past them, they're just yelling mean, hateful things at everybody. And just, again, a surreal experience. And this was I think one of the most powerful thing was, and to show, which side of this story do you want to be on? This group of people was gathering there and yelling mean, hateful things. And then, so we cut our protest, our march short, and went and stood over in this little park area. And that leader got back up and started saying, this is exactly what I said would happen, that when we try to show love, people are going to show up and they're going to turn up their hate. And we will not give in to hate. We will not return hate with hate. And so we're going to stand here and we're going to show these people love. And then that whole group, these hundreds of people probably, turned towards that group of people and started chanting, show them love, show them love. And his point was, he went on to say, you're never going to change anyone's mind by being hateful. You're never going to change anyone's mind and life and actions by being mean. But if you love people persistently, that has the power to change people's minds who have really wrong, unhealthy, evil perspectives on their fellow humans. And it was a very powerful experience. And yet my fear, even in being there, was if we think that in showing up to a protest that our white community can just go back to normal now, and we pat ourselves on the back because we spent an hour and a half walking outside in the heat, then I'm concerned, because that doesn't really, I mean, it's not nothing, but we have to then make decisions for change and for justice, and use whatever influence I have. I'm responsible for using that influence to create a world that treats all people as they inherently must be treated. And that's the problem. But yeah, it was a surreal, powerful experience, and I never would have thought that, small town, that would happen. But it was, I mean, I don't know how you argue with those two options, I don't know how you stand on the other side of that road and think I'm definitely right, but I'm thankful it was peaceful and safe. So yeah. I don't know if that was I did not expect to share that story, but I'm thankful that I was able to, because it was really meaningful. So, speaking of people's inherent value, I'm just going to take a little drink. Let me say, if no one has told you this today, you are loved and you are important, and you do have an inherent value in you that cannot be changed by any factor. And there are voices that will tell you that that's not the case. And so I hope that I can be one little voice that assures you today that you have a value and a worth that is immeasurable. And here's kind of my little, Peter kind of has his thing that he says at the end. Here's my little thing. You are worthy of a big full breath. You're worthy of sighing. You're worthy of staying hydrated. You're worthy of rest. And you're worthy of taking the time to experience all of those things today. Thank you so much. I want to say that I do love you, and I am thankful for you. And if you watched all the way to the end, comment down below. Wow. What? Oh, comment pink cloud. Pink cloud. Okay. I will see you all tomorrow for day 13, the penultimate day of the Peter Monn vlog challenge. Until then, bye-bye.